'Cause you're a sky full of stars.
All right, guys, here we are for the last reading of The Wild Robot on GunnReads. And The Wild Robot is by Peter Brown, and we're reading with Miss Gunn, right? Me. And let's see what's going to happen. Roz decided she needed to leave the island, and let's see what happens now. Chapter 79, The Departure. The airship's engines automatically fired up. Then the ship slowly floated above the island, turned to the south, and disappeared into the clouds. Chapter 80, The Sky. Our story ends in the sky, where a robot was being whisked away from the only home she had ever known. As Roz sat in the airship, broken and alone and speeding toward a mysterious future, she looked back at her miraculous past. Reader, it must seem impossible that our robot could have changed so much. Maybe the Ricos were right. Maybe Roz will be defective, and some glitch in her programming has caused her to accidentally become a wild robot. Or maybe Roz was designed to think and learn and change. She had simply done those things better than anyone could have imagined. However it happened, Roz felt lucky to have lived such an amazing life, and every moment she had recorded in her computer brain, even her earliest memories, were perfectly clear. She could still see the sun shining through the gash in her crate. She could still hear the waves crashing against the shore. She could still smell the salt water and the pine trees. Would she ever see and hear and smell those things again? Would she ever again climb a mountain or build a lodge or play with a goose? Not just a goose, a son. Brightbill had been Roz's son. From the moment she picked up his egg, she had saved him from certain death. And then she had saved her. He was the reason Roz had lived so well for so long, and if she wanted to continue living, if she wanted to be wild again, she needed to be with her family and her friends on her island. So as Roz raced through the sky, she began computing a plan. She would get the repairs she needed. She would escape from her new life. She would find her way back home. A note about the story. I've always been fascinated by robots. By the real robots that exist today, by the robots that will exist in the future, and by the fantastic robot characters that exist only in books and films. It's funny how many philosophical questions bring up when we think about artificial beings. Do we want robots that can think and feel like a person? Will we trust robots to perform surgery, care for our children, or police our cities? In a world where robots did all the work, how would the humans spend our time? I'm also fascinated by the natural world. I grew up exploring the fields and streams and forests near my home, and I learned a lot about the local wildlife. I knew that deer were most active at dawn and dusk. I watched squirrels methodically collect and storing acorns. I heard geese honking overhead as they flew south every autumn. Animals have such predictable behavior and follow such rigid routines that at times they seem almost robotic. And somewhere along the line, it occurred to me that animal instincts are kind of like computer programs. Thanks to their instinct, animals automatically run from danger, build nests, and stay close to their families. And they often do things without thinking, as if they've been programmed to perform specific actions at specific times. Surprisingly, wild animals and robots actually have some things in common. These kinds of thoughts have filled my imagination for most of my life, and then a few years ago I started scribbling down words about a robot and some wild animals. I couldn't stop doodling pictures of a robot in a tree. I started asking myself odd questions. What would an intelligent robot do if she were stranded in the wilderness? How might she adapt to the environment? How might the environment adapt to her? Why am I referring to this robot with words like she or her? And for that matter, why have so many science fiction writers given genders to so many of their robot characters? An image of a robot named Roz was slowly forming in my mind. I could see her exploring a remote island. I could hear her communicating with wild animals. I could feel her becoming part of the wilderness. And after years of imagining and writing and drawing, I realized I had all the ingredients for a robot nature story. So I drove out to the cabin in the woods, opened up a fresh notebook, and began working on The Wild Robot. All right, my friends, so that is it. We have finished The Wild Robot from beginning to end, and it was read by Miss Gunn, and it's written by Peter Brown, and it was read on GunnReads, and I'm going to see you guys another time because we'll have lots of stories to read together. I hope to see you again. So subscribe so we can hang out again. Bye, guys. Thanks for watching.
Sky